That we're live. Now I just got to wait for YouTube to send out the relevant notification to let y'all know that I'm live. And I just got an email and a notification, which means that the entire Vipe Nation knows that we are live. What's happening, you all? How are you doing? I know, man, a long time no see. I was just here about 6 hours ago doing my Mandalorian recap. And now we are back again for the final podcast of 2019. Yeah. This is what is going on tonight. Um, this is not going to be your typical VypDrive podcast because I'm pretty much putting the feels out, inviting whoever wants to come on, and it's probably going to run longer than the typical hour. I don't want to go past 2 hours, but I'm going to try to keep this to 2 hours or less. But this is going to be longer than when your typical VypDrive podcast. So, if you haven't used the bathroom yet, if you need to go get a drink, you might want to use the bathroom. You might want to go get a drink because we're going to be here for a while. And that is what's going on. Hello, how y'all doing? I will get to all you all in the chat in a minute here. Let me just put out the fields on Twitter, put out the actual podcast, I should say. And we will go ahead with the festivities tonight. Let me go share, copy link, and put it to my Twitter and do what I do here. And go to work here. See the last. And booyah. And here we go. And boom, there it is. The tweet is out. And we are in the building. So, this has been an amazing, wild ride here in 2019 with the podcast, man. But I'll get into that in a minute here after I do the introduction. So, we got 14 people here watching. So, the beautiful thing about most of my live streams is that I have no idea how they're going to go. And this is no different. I have no idea how this is going to go, but I'm going to sit back, relax, and take you all with me on this journey, and we will see how this podcast goes. So let me get into the intro. So we have reached a milestone in the history of the VypDrive podcast. This is episode number 52, which means this podcast has been going in existence for 1 year. Well, not really, but we have done 52 episodes. So tonight marks the 2019 VypDrive finale, the last podcast of 2019, and we are starting now. What's up, people? This your boy Viper, the man about tech, and welcome back to the last episode of VypDrive in 2019. This is the podcast about tech, hosted by the man about tech. And I hope you used the bathroom. I hope you got all your stuff done, because we might be here for a while. That's right. This will probably go longer than your typical 1 hour VypDrive. And I got people coming in. I don't know who they are. I haven't really sent out any specific invites, but it's practically an open invitation. So anybody could pop in on the podcast at any particular time. If you're new to me or if you're used to me on YouTube, you know this is how I roll. If you're new to my podcast, then it might be a little weird for you, but just sit back, relax, and enjoy the fire, because it's coming, baby. But welcome you all to episode number 52 of VypDrive. For those of y'all listening on audio only, for those of y'all that tune into my YouTube live streams or the podcast as it's going live on YouTube, thank you guys for 52 weeks of support. I appreciate you all. Anybody that has been on this podcast as a guest, thank you so much for rocking with me on the podcast. Whoo! Oh my goodness. It has been one hell of a ride. And I cannot believe that we are at episode 52 of the podcast. It's astounding how far we've come. Since this podcast is being recorded live, I have 17 people in my YouTube chat. I just want to go through and call out some of the people who have made themselves known. Michael West, good evening. How are you doing, sir? We got the Bionic Scoop. How you doing, man? How you doing? My man Buzz703, what's up, Buzz? How you doing? John Michelle, what's up, John? How you doing? How you doing? Mia Diva Rodriguez, hey Mia, hey, how you doing? And that is about it for now. That's right, Mia. We are 52 episodes into the podcast. This is bananas. Like I said, I have guests coming on. I don't know exactly who's going to come on. Well, I know a couple of them. My friend from TubeBuddy, Mr. TubeBuddy himself, Andrew Can, will be here momentarily. And I see my man Zach Talks Tech is available to join the podcast tonight. So I'm giving them links, and they have the link. So we got at least 2 people coming. I got 3 more spots open. We'll see how that goes, and we'll just go from there. But before I bring them on here, like I said, this is episode number 52. And a lot of times on this podcast, I have had guests. Sometimes I've had several guests. But I have a whole list of episodes in front of me. So I just want to go through real quick and thank all the people that have made an appearance on this podcast in 2019, the first full year of the VypDrive podcast. I have had a lot of esteemed guests on this particular show. I want to go through and name them one by one and thank them personally and individually because they are awesome and they deserve to be recognized for making this podcast what it is today, because this podcast has actually gotten pretty popular over the past 52 weeks. So without further ado, my very first guest on the podcast, which is crazy because, you know, when you have your first guest on your first podcast, you don't know who's going to show up. But my very first guest ever on this podcast was none other than John Rettinger. Now, I know you all know my man, John Rettinger, man. Mr. Techno Buffalo. Well, he's not with Techno Buffalo. Well, he's not with Techno Buffalo anymore. He's on his own, doing his own thing with Sunscreen Media and Jonathan Morrison and those boys. But thank you to John Rettinger for being my very first guest on the VypDrive podcast, which is just blows my mind when I even say that. But John Rettinger was the very first guest. After John Rettinger, we got Juan Carlos Bagnell. Shout out to the audio god, Juan Carlos. Thank you, Juan, for joining me on the show. After Juan, we got my man Drew from Taylor Tech. He's been a guest on the podcast a few times, so thank you, Drew. I appreciate you. Of course, we can't have a guest rundown without the baddest man in social media today, John Prosser was a guest. Thank you, John. I appreciate you. Next, we have my friend from Verizon, from the Verizon PR department, George Caranios. Thank you, George, for joining me on the VypDrive podcast. I appreciate you. And then we got my man, creative entrepreneurial badass, Roberto Blake, who's been on the podcast a couple of times. Thank you, Roberto Blake. Next, we got my homie, Travis MCP, one of the best up-and-coming YouTubers in the game, and my man, Gregory McFadden. They joined me for, they both joined for one of my episodes. We were talking about the Samsung Unpacked event, so thank you to Travis and Greg for joining me. They both doing big things on the YouTube platform, and consequently, those 2 gentlemen have their own podcast called GadgetCast, so look that up on your podcast app of choice. Travis and Greg have their own podcast, which is definitely hilarious. They have very good chemistry. Of course, we got to thank my man Jason from Painfully Honest Tech for being on the podcast a couple of times. So thank you, Jason. And of course, the greatest Apple Tech journalist alive today, Renee Ritchie, has been a guest on the podcast. Thank you, Renee. Always fun to talk to you. And who else we have? We got my head of security, of course, El Jefe Reviews, has been a guest a couple of times. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you, bro. And of course, we got the maestro of audio. I should call him the maestro of music, Randy Vasquez, the man behind the Front Page Tech and Taylor Tech Music. Thank you, Randy, for joining me, no doubt. And the next one really blows my mind. But we've had the world's most famous tech reviewer on the podcast. Shout out to Mr. 10 Million, Marquez Brownlee, MKBHD, has been a guest on this podcast. Thank you, Marquez, for joining me. No doubt, bro. No doubt. Who else? Oh, we got to talk about the creative Swiss Army knife, Christina Red. Thank you, Christina, for being a guest on the podcast. Always love talking to you. No doubt, no doubt. Who else we got? Oh, we got one of the nicest guys at Tech. Definitely do on the come up doing his thing. My man, Mr. Zach Talks Tech, doing his thing. He's been a guest on the podcast. Thank you, Zach, for coming on. Definitely appreciate you. Who else we got? Let me go down here, see who else I've had on the podcast. I see we got my man, Andrew Wayden. Oh, we got to talk about Mr. Up in Here, Terry Warfield, has been on the podcast. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate you, man, no doubt. Also, we got my man Tech King Mike, the Don King of Tech. He's been a guest on the podcast. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. And we got to holler at the general of ranting, Mr. Tech Rant, Trenton Marshall, has been a guest. Thank you, Trenton. Appreciate you. And of course, CJ Knows Tech, doing everything on the YouTube, tech, camera gear, everything. If it's to be done, CJ Knows Tech and getting it done. Shout out to CJ who have been on the podcast. And last but not least, my last podcast was done with an up-and-coming creator. We call him Iconic Mod. So thank you to my man Iconic for being a guest on the VypDrive podcast. And now, to introduce our very first time guest to the VypDrive podcast, Mr. TubeBuddy himself, Andrew Can is in the cut. What's up, bro? How you doing?
Hello, Viper. It's good to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining me on my last podcast of 2019. Like I said, I know it was short notice, but some of my best ideas are short notice. So, hey, what can you do, man?
Hey, I appreciate the invite. And hey, I've noticed a lot of things that I've done personally. Sometimes I'm like, let's just do it. And it ends up being some of the best content. So let's hope we can get that.
Isn't it funny how that works, though? It's like you're sitting there, right? And you don't feel like doing nothing. You don't think you can execute, but then you just make a decision. Bam! I'm going to go do it. And it turns out to be some of the best work you will ever do.
Exactly. And then you're like, how do I capture that again?
Right. Exactly, man. Exactly. So this is a tech podcast, but this might be a little different because I'm not going to talk solely about tech because, I mean, there's so much that happened this year. But Andrew, what have been some of your biggest accomplishments personally in 2019 if it relates to YouTube, non-YouTube, whatever, dude? What have you done this year?
So some of my biggest accomplishments was I passed 4,000 subscribers on the personal channel. We're about to hit 250,000 on the TubeBuddy YouTube channel, 250,000 subscribers. I finally purchased the camera. I set my goal. Originally it was like the GH4, but I finally got the dream camera, which was the GH5.
Ooh.
And it's been a really good year. Finally made multiple streams of income, which I know you know how important that is, Viper.
Yeah.
It's been a very good year.
Okay, now for my people that are listening that might not be familiar, can you please explain to the audience what TubeBuddy is and what it does?
So TubeBuddy is an online browser extension as well as a mobile app, which is basically like a suite of tools similar to like your camera, your lights, or whatever you do when you're filming your videos. TubeBuddy is that for the YouTube backend. So it is a suite of tools that helps making creating on the backside a lot easier.
It really does. TubeBuddy. I use TubeBuddy every time I upload a video. It helps with my title, my tags, getting video topic ideas, like anything that you could think of. TubeBuddy helps out with that. So shout out to TubeBuddy and shout out to Andrew for helping creators out for a long time now. How long have you been with TubeBuddy?
Just past 4 years this December.
Woo! Congrats, man. Congrats. TubeBuddy is going strong, and I don't anticipate TubeBuddy going anywhere anytime soon because they are very big in the YouTube and creative space. So shout out to TubeBuddy, dude.
Absolutely. And we have a lot of new features that are coming, and I think you'll be really excited, especially in the tech community.
Oh, you know I like new features, man. You know tech people like new features, baby. We love new features. We love new features. Oh my goodness, that is very exciting. Shout out to my man Andrew for the $5 super chat. Thank you for the support, man. I appreciate you.
Of course, I can't just show up and not show up in multiple ways. You know that.
I appreciate you. For those of y'all watching live on the YouTube, super chats are open. So if you guys want to donate, you can do that. For those of y'all that are listening on audio only, there is a link in the show notes to buy me a coffee and donate if you wish to do that. Like I tell you guys,
gonna afford a s'mores frap without it.
I know, of course. As I tell you guys all the time, donations are not required, but they do help me out greatly if you wish to do that. Next, let me bring in one of the nicest guys in tech, my man, Mr. Zach Talk Tech. What's up, dude?
I gotta move. No, okay, there we go. I'm a huge TubeBuddy fan.
Preach, man, preach. Go ahead.
I don't know what else to say, but I like the improvement. I like how you guys worked. First of all, hi Andrew.
Hello, how are you doing?
We haven't actually talked since like VidSummit like last year.
I know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have like anyway
on and off on Twitter, but I understand.
Yeah. No, busy. I'm a big fan of how you guys work like directly. Like YouTube is like we endorse you guys, right? So that's huge, especially when you're working with different plugins and everything like that. So, in fact, you actually just helped me with my tagging for my video tonight. I totally roasted these fake AirPods. GearBest is never sending me anything again. Okay. And I don't care. That is some good content tonight.
Mr. Zach Talk Tech, how are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm good. Sorry, I had to turn you up there. It's been been an interesting 24 hours. It's been I'm very good.
All right, now let's go back further than 24 hours. I'm gonna ask you the same thing I asked Andrew.
Mhm.
What are some of your biggest accomplishments, YouTube or otherwise, here in 2019?
That's such a loaded question. I think honestly just getting back in the swing of things, like putting out content because of where I was towards the end of last year and then my collapse and everything in January and getting myself healthy and being down 75 pounds from January, which is huge. Like
Yo,
this is
Congrats.
big congrats, man. I mean, that takes a lot of intestinal fortitude to lose that weight. So shout out to you, man.
thank you. And honestly it hasn't I don't want to say that anybody can do it, but like when you always hear people say like, oh, if I can do it, you can do it. Like I seriously mean like if I can do it, you can do it. I'm serious. Like isn't what Andrew says?
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna say
You still in tagline. You on the podcast. You about to give me 2 by 2, buddy. You still in tagline. Stop it, Zach. Stop it right now. Wait.
But, no, like and I've done small tweaks here and there. So if anybody has any questions about what I've done or anything, I've been very open and very forthcoming with the information, and I've talked about things that maybe people that are in my situation wouldn't normally, and everything like that. And because I want to generally help people, and I'm just gonna plug this right now. I started an Instagram. Zach
I love
Talk.
that Instagram.
Yeah, I followed you. Like you were the very first people I followed. I started an Instagram called Zach Talks Health. So at Zach Talks Health, and I'm just gonna be documenting my journey going into 2020. Right now, I'm kind of recapping 2019 and everything. So yeah, so anyway, to summarize, Viper, I'm just glad to be back on the treadmill, literally and figuratively. And I've said this many times. I've told you privately, Viper. I've tweeted it. I have to thank you a lot, man. I really do. So thank you.
I ain't doing anything, but
Yeah, you did, man. You were in my corner. You're sending out the tweets here and there. When Zach can have another video, you were more supportive than what you think you are, and I thank you for that.
Well, you are very welcome.
Cool.
So I'm gonna go back to Andrew. So Andrew, just recently in 2019, YouTube had undergone kind of a shockwave with the whole COPPA situation. Now, I know YouTube, TubeBuddy has a COPPA tool in their arsenal to help creators navigate the COPPA guidelines. So can you talk to us about what TubeBuddy is doing to help out YouTube creators with dealing with COPPA?
Sure. So basically, it is called the COPPA Center. And the whole thing is, if you have set your channel, what we do is we identify any videos that YouTube themselves may have identified as labeled as for kids. So by having this information, it lets you, the creator, know, hey, this video has been identified as for kids. Is this correct? And then we give you the ability and links to do so, to kind of contact and say, hey, no, this video isn't for kids, or go, oh, yeah, this kind of is for kids.
That is pretty cool, man, because as we all know, YouTube is not very forthcoming as it relates to getting information out to creators and letting creators know how to best navigate the changes that are being made on the platform. So
they were really kind of terrible at the communication of how, do you know what I mean? It didn't have to be that complicated. I understand from a legality standpoint that you probably had to word and say things a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, like all you had to say is, do you make content directly for kids? Like, do you target kids? No. Okay. Then you click yourself as not for kids. Don't worry. We will still serve your content out to people like everybody else. That's it. That's all they had to say.
I agree. And it's been interesting because like I know the team, and like I know the team that works on that communication, and watching them because in their mind they think, oh, it's so simple, because you get a bunch of developers who all they do is develop, and they're not necessarily creators, and they're not necessarily used to having to like talk about something like this. So they're like, yeah, everyone can understand this. And then they see it and they're like, oh, nobody liked that.
It's so funny. Like one of the biggest communication companies in the world, especially if they're owned by like Google Alphabet, and they're terrible at communication. And the thing is, the best part is,
they also made Google Plus. So like, let's talk about how good at communication they are.
We are got shot fired on the podcast. Shot fired on the damn podcast. Wow.
Rest in peace, Google Plus, along with everything else they've made and got rid of.
Oh, that was fierce. That was savage, Andrew. That was savage. But I got a question for you. So one of the big points of contention with COPPA is that YouTube themselves have not addressed the content that is geared towards a mixed audience. So given that you guys, the two buddy, talk directly with YouTube to try to implement the best practices and help for creators, do you, Andrew, do you know if YouTube plans to address the mixed audience content elephant in the room, or do we know anything about that? Because that has to be addressed.
So I call this the Nevada Desert Association, also known as NDAs, where I'm not allowed to talk about it. But if a tech YouTuber ever wants to say they can't say anything, just say you're a part of the Nevada Desert Association, because non-disclosure agreements are fun.
Ooh, he came on the podcast and put me on the NDA. Ouch. Okay.
I would love to, but like I'd also love to keep my job. So.
No. It's funny because by not saying anything, you've said everything. So it's funny how that works out. So what that tells me is that there is something going on in the back end that should be coming out. So I'm glad that it's being addressed in some form or fashion. Because, like I said, that's a big point of consternation in the creative community, because there are a lot of creators that make that mixed audience content that doesn't really fall under COPPA guidelines, but YouTube doesn't give them that out in their current choices for creators in the back end. So I'm glad that something is being done.
So I guess this is what I can say based on the video that they released to try to clear it up. Like their whole logic was the reason they didn't have to have mixed in their opinion was because they're like, no, this content isn't intended for kids, should automatically do that. But again, it comes from that developer mindset where they're like, well, it should mean this and people should understand it, but no. Like you work for one of the biggest search engines. Like you should know there's a million ways people are going to ask the same question.
Of course, man. Of course. And like I said, I'm glad that they've gotten around to the point where they're actually going to address it and do something about it, because you're alienating a lot of creators by not taking care of that. So good on YouTube for trying to do something about that. But Andrew, you told me earlier in the podcast that you just recently purchased a Panasonic GH5. So I'm curious as to why you brought that particular camera and how it's working out for you.
So far, it's been working amazingly. The reason I bought it was I actually came from the G7, which is another Panasonic. I just kind of wanted to keep within utilizing what I had. And if you've ever switched an ecosystem, be it Apple to Android or vice versa, or any camera system, you know that one of the headaches is there's adapters and all that, and it's just keeping into what I already got really familiar with was really a priority. And if Sony just adds a swivel screen, because I use that every single day, that would have had me, but they didn't.
I don't know why Sony won't put on the folding screen. It would solve a lot of problems, but they refuse to do it. I wonder if it's some type of patent thing or legality that doesn't allow them to do it, but damn it.
They don't want to pay the patent. I don't quote me on this. I can't remember who owns it. Part of me wants to say it's Canon, but that may be completely incorrect. But I know someone owns the patent on it, and they don't want to pay to it.
How about thinking? I don't think one company owns that patent, because there are several companies that use the flip out screen. So it's not like that patent is being completely owned. So, like I said, maybe it's just a fee that Sony doesn't want to pay or whatever. But they really, really need to get that together, because if they get that one feature together, they had that one feature, it will be game over for everybody. It'll be game over. Zach, you brought a lot. I don't know if I asked you this before, but if so, oh well. But okay. You brought a lot of tech in 2019. What are some of your favorite tech that you have purchased or been given in 2019?
I had it here, but
he lost it.
Daryl Eve sent me a Switch Pod, and I love it.
Oh, Andrew has a Switch Pod too, don't you?
Yeah. Yes. I got mine before everybody else at Vid Summit. He sent. Okay, so what? I was giving him the gears on Twitter. I'm like, oh yeah, if you sign up for Vid Summit, you won't get your shoe size and Because I showed up last year in 2018. I said I want size 12s. They're like, here's some size 9s. I'm like, oh, that's great. I'll put those on my ears. Thank you. Right. So everybody's walking around with these awesome, Gary V shoes, and I don't have them. I was a little ticked off. Got home to Calgary. I bought my own pair. I donated those, whatever. And then he put out a tweet saying, make sure you sign up right away. You don't want to miss out on this and the free gift. And I replied to him. I didn't retweet. I just replied to him saying, LOL. Yeah, I was one of the very first that signed up. I didn't get my shoes last year. Thanks, Daryl. Haha. At Team Gary V or whatever. And he messaged me like this, 30 seconds after. He's like, dude, what's your address? I'll send you some shoes right now. I'm like, I don't need shoes, Daryl. It's cool. He's like, okay, what's your address anyway? I'll send you something. I'm like, I said, okay, well, you can send me one thing. I want one of those black VidSummon hats with the little logo, right? And it's right back there. I wear it all the time. And then I got that, and I got the Switch Pod, and I'm like, what is this thing? And I'm like, okay, like cool, I got a weapon, right? And like it's heavy, like it's not heavy, but it's like it's a Switch Pod.
So what do you like best about the Switch Pod?
I like the fact that I'm going to use it for vlogging at CES. That it switches out, so I can sit it down. I can attach everything to it that I need to, and it's just simple and it's lightweight and it's perfect for what the content that I'm going to be doing going into the future, because it seems like a lot of people like the kind of interview stuff with the everyday tech people. So,
Andrew, what has been your experience with the Switch Pod?
So I have both the Switch Pod and their competitor Joby, and I love the Switch Pod a lot. I like its ergonomics, especially. Like that's one thing that I can say. Like the handle itself, just using it feels right. Especially if like you've ever tried to do handheld, like you may know the experience of like trying to grip onto like a subpar like tripod, but it really does work very well.
Yeah, I don't have one, but I do have one of the Joby Gorilla Pods, and I like the fact that I can like maneuver the legs and pretty much any configuration I want. If I want it high, if I want it low, that's pretty
Same.
cool. I know the Switch Pod isn't that versatile, but I know the Switch Pod has its own unique advantages. There's
little like little holes here in the like 1/4 inch and 1/8 inch and stuff like that, where you can screw different things in, like a mic and stuff like that. So for mine, like I don't know where it is. It's upstairs, that thing. But I have like a bar going across, and then I have the mic, and then I have a DD mic, and then I have my phone basically. So I'm using the iPhone 11 Pro Max because it's perfect for this. And apparently you can use one of those holes in the side there and attach the mic without using that bar feature. So I'm going to try that tonight if you have like the right attachments and everything. So I mean, that's cool. And it's just like Andrew said, it's ergonomic. It gives you just enough reach so that if you like right now with the iPhone, you can go like this with your hand and you get just enough, right? But with that, you get that little bit more, even with the wide angle selfie cam. And it's just, yeah, I can't wait to do all the interviews and stuff. That'd be great.
No doubt.
So, yeah.
Cool. All right. So I need to acknowledge my man in the chat here, LeBaron Burton. LeBaron Burton is the owner of Popcorn World. Now, if you guys want some of the best popcorn on the planet, the man has over 250 flavors of popcorn. If you want to experience this popcorn, hit up the link in the ticker. For those of y'all listening on audio only, it's www.doingtheworldoflavor.com. Let me tell you, this popcorn is amazing. I stopped by the shop yesterday, got me a few bags, and it is yummy AF. I love it. I thank LeBaron for supporting the community. He doesn't just support me; he supports a bunch of us tech creators. He's giving us back the popcorn. He supported us. He does it all, man. So shout out to my man LeBaron Burton. Like I said, if you guys want this popcorn, go to doingtheworldoflavor.com, and if you do order from there, let him know that I sent you using the code VypNation, and he will give you a special discount or take care of your ship or something like that. We got some type of agreement. I don't remember what the whole agreement is, but let him know that Viper sent you, and he will take care of you. But shout out to my man LeBaron for supporting, because that popcorn is legit. Whoo! So Zach, me and you, we are in a unique club. Let me provide the backstory to you all. Zach will know where I'm going with this very quickly.
Okay.
So we had a somewhat of a controversy in the tech space about a couple of weeks ago. The biggest YouTube tech channel, Unbox Carefree, released his later case. He released his own phone case. Now, the big controversy behind the release of his cases is that they look a lot like a certain brand that we use called Pitaka, but they're not the same case. So even though they look like Pitaka cases, they are not Pitaka cases. There are subtle differences and variations in the later case that make them different from Pitaka cases. But I figured I would talk to Zach about this because me and Zach both own a later case. We both brought later cases. So Zach, talk to us about your experience with the later case, especially considering the fact that you also, like me, own a Pitaka case.
Okay, so first of all, I had never heard of Pitaka until this whole thing happened. Like I
don't know how to I've heard of them for years. I don't know how you ever heard of them.
I just don't know. And the thing is, I like a small minimalist case, like darn near like skin, right? I like the most minimal, unless I'm going out and about, like in the mountains or anything like that, or like on hikes or anything, then I'll switch into like a protective drop protection case. Okay. So I didn't know about Pataka until this whole thing happened. And then the thing happened, and Travis and Greg's Gadgets did their investigation thing, and then FPT, and then there's the videos and everything. And I thought, okay, and then a couple of people did their own hot takes and everything, and kind of, whatever. And I thought, I want to go into this deeper, not just what separates Pataka from later case in terms of functionality, because there's definitely a difference there. But I wanted to dive really deep into like what physically sets them apart. So I bought some electric calipers. I stole my wife's little scale. I used different pairs of pants and different hoodies and everything. I put out a video doing a direct comparison and the weights and everything like that. LeBaron asks, "Are you doing CES?" Yes, I am. So I did all that. I did the measuring, this and that. I put out the video just with the facts, but I did insert my own little opinion on there. You guys know I just think he could have handled it better. Lou, to his credit, came out with a follow-up video answering all those questions. And the later case is great. There's nothing wrong with the later case. In my opinion, the quality is better on the Pataka and the functionality is there. So when I talk about the functionality, I'm just going to demonstrate for you really quick here. So this is a Pataka case. This is their wireless home charger. Okay. The Pataka case has a magnet here and here. It's kind of like an unhappy face and a happy face. And then there's your wireless charger. Okay. They put the magnets there so you can line up really quick like that. So you know where to line up your phone for charging. Now, these magnets right here on this right here is really weak. The ones in the car that hold on for the vent mount and everything are super strong. Like it is not moving. I put videos on that as well. So if you're looking for functionality and like down the road, I would say Pataka. If you're looking for versatility in terms of choice for devices, take a look at the later case.
I think that's a good explanation. I have a later case currently on my Pixel 4 XL, which I'm holding in my hand for those of y'all on audio only. I have a later case on my Pixel 4 XL, and I like the later case.
Yep.
It's light, like Zach said, it's very minimal. It doesn't add pretty much no weight to your phone. And one of the things that Lou made sure to emphasize about the later case, and which I have noticed that comes true, is that it's actually easier to take off than the Pataka case.
Yep.
Now, when he emphasized that, I was kind of worried that since it is easier to take off, that if you drop the phone, it will come off the phone easier too. However, I can confidently say that is not the case. Even though it is easier to take off than a Pataka case, if you do drop the phone, which I did a little drop test, even though it's on carpet, it's still a drop test. I did a drop test, and the case stayed on the phone. So the later case does provide adequate protection as far as dropping the phone if you drop it on its back. Now, if you drop it on the face, then you're so well. But if you drop the phone and it lands on its back, the later case will not come off. It will stay on the phone. It's secure enough that it will stay on. So I'm pretty impressed with that. For his first case, I am very impressed with the later case. So Lewis definitely did his thing with the later case.
He's heading in the right direction. And he says, let's talk about the path of refinement and everything like that. And I've reached out to him privately via email, offering my experience in this and that, because I have experience in developing and making a case brand with Blue Element. He didn't reply. And I've been public about asking as well. But I understand he's got things coming in different directions or everything like that. So the path of refinement, I think, is going to look good. I think a year from now is going to look good. What I really credit with him is he went out and made cases for phones that maybe, for example, that Pataka is not doing. And it's not like he looked at Pataka and said, okay, they're not doing this, I'll do that. Like, he likes the Pixel 4 XL. So he made a case for it. There's a reason why there's not a lot of choices out there for the Pixel 4 XL, because people are not buying that phone in large quantities. So thus the manufacturers say, no, it's going to cost more money. You go out in the store, an OtterBox case, for example, for the iPhone is going to be $10 less than the Pixel case. Okay. And it's the same materials and everything like that, virtually the same material, size and everything like that. And the reason why is because no one's buying. I'm not saying no one. No one's buying the same volume of Pixel 4 cases or Pixel 4 as iPhone. So,
yeah, like I said, it's pretty cool that he is offering a wider variety of cases to phones, like you said, that people won't necessarily buy, phones that are not in the mainstream. Like you said, a lot of people are not buying the Pixel 4, so you won't see that many cases out there. Now, when iPhone season comes, and Zach, me and you and tech YouTubers, we know firsthand, brands that we never heard of are reaching out to give us cases for the iPhone to put on our channel because the iPhone is so popular. these brands are nowhere to be found when a Pixel launches or anything that's not an
Yeah.
iPhone launches. So
I mean, I was really surprised that our friends at Nomad made a case, but Google went to Nomad and said, "Will you be part of our Made for Google program?" So that's when you buy a Nomad case. It's down the corner, Made for Google, right? And so they're part of that program. And there's only a few other brands that are part of that program as well. They have their OEM case. They have Nomad. There's only a handful of brands out there. OtterBox only made 2 cases. They did a Symmetry, and I think they did a Defender case, basically. So, but then again, like when it comes to the iPhone, like OtterBox will make like 6 different of like Symmetry alone, and then so it's you got to look at the market. So when Lou says, I went back and forth this and that, and it costs a lot of money to do the Pixel 4 case, it does. I know that it does because I've been part of that process, and it can be as simple as click order, or it can be as complicated as he said, 7 months and getting samples and sending stuff back and forth because China is slow in that process. They want you to buy the bulk stuff that's online the right way. But if you want to customize and this and that, then you're going to pay more money. Okay. I understand why he didn't put branding on the inside. I think it was a mistake, though, especially with that kind of name, Unbox Therapy.
Yeah, he definitely should have put branding on there.
He should at least stamp them there at the studio.
Right? It looked too similar to other cases for there not to be branding. So I want to go back to my man LeBaron Burton. He provided the code for you guys if you want to order the popcorn. The code is VypLive, the name of the channel. So if you guys want to get a 10% off of shipping for orders over $50, type in VypLive and let LeBaron know that your boy Viper sent you, and you will get a discount on your popcorn.
But not shipping to Canada. I always have to give him a hard time about this.
you better leave that man alone. You better leave that man alone.
I know.
So Andrew, I know the GH5 isn't the only piece of tech that you purchased in 2019. So tell me about some other tech you brought or came across.
So I actually purchased an S10, not for myself, but for my girlfriend. Nice. They had it on sale on Amazon for $450, and I went, well, that's an easy one.
Oh my Lord.
Like the regular S10 or the E?
The regular S10, $450, plus you could get the Galaxy Buds. And then some people saw a deal where it was like, you wouldn't get the Galaxy Bud, but it was 256 gigabytes, and you got a $50 Amazon card. Like, that was some of the best deals I saw.
Wow.
And my girlfriend's coming from an S7, which doesn't support updates anymore, and it takes her 3 minutes to open like Google Maps, and I'm like, I can't live with this.
That's a good upgrade. That's a really go from S7 to 10. That's a good upgrade,
especially for that price. That is amazing. You did good, man. You did good.
So I saw that and I went, yes. So that was that was one of my easiest purchases, and it also helped because, like I was talking earlier, like one of the things I've been working on is different streams of income for YouTube. And because of all that, I was able to actually make that purchase. So like for me, it's really an interesting phone. And for her, she's never had like the latest model year, and you could argue the year's almost over, but even for a short while, she'll have the newest phone.
Hey, the thought that counts, man, and you got it for a good deal. So you did good, Andrew.
Samsung will start slashing all their prices second week of January. They do
100%.
And you know what? Honestly, the difference between what you paid now and what it'll be in January is not going to be that much.
Exactly.
You'll still be happy with the purchase. That's a good purchase. I got my wife the S10e, and she really likes it. So,
ooh, nice.
Yeah.
So Zach LeBaron said that he can get you popcorn at CES if you want that.
Is he what? So LeBaron's going to CES? Like there's
no. I'm guessing that he can ship it to you at CES.
Because I'm thinking there's a lot of technology involved with popcorn making. I don't. I'm trying to understand this.
I think he's saying that he can ship you the popcorn at CES.
Oh, okay.
You crack me up, man. You crack me up.
I'll send LeBaron. I'll send you a DM of the address where I'm staying, and maybe the girl that I'm staying with, she won't steal it. Hopefully, so.
So speaking of S10, Zach, we know that the S11 is right around the corner. So we've heard a lot of rumors about the S11. It's going to have that square camera module that a lot of phones have these days. It could potentially come with a 108 megapixel camera, this, that, and the other. So Zach, given what we've heard so far about the S11, what are your preliminary thoughts?
I mean, I for myself, okay, hardware is cool and everything like that. Specs are cool and everything, but I'm really looking for more refinement and optimization. I know that word's thrown around a lot, and I'll expand on that. Optimization with their software, integration with Google, and it's really good as it is right now. Okay, but I want to see like an AirDrop from Samsung. Like I want to see something like that works for Windows and Mac. I want to see like, oh no, it will never happen for Mac, but I want to see something the equivalent or anything like that. And before anybody else says anything in the chat or whatever, that you can do this. Okay, no. I need it to be simple. Okay, we need simplicity because I've come around this year. I absolutely adore this phone and the whole ecosystem and everything. And if you had told me a year ago I'd be talking like this, I would have called you a liar.
For those of y'all listening on audio only, he held up an iPhone 11 Pro Max.
Yeah. So, and don't get me wrong, I still love my Note 10 Plus here, but I definitely reach for my iPhone more than anything else. But anyway, like I said, I'm looking for more of a refinement and cleaning up of their UI. What would be really cool? Hey, where's your speaker with the freaking legs? Okay. Okay, Samsung, like seriously.
Oh
right?
Lord, that thing went out with air power, bro.
Oh, I have an appointment with them on the Tuesday, the first day of CES, the quote unquote first day of CES. I'm going. They're expecting me, like I'm meeting with a PR person. That's the first question I'm going to have. Where's your speaker?
That is a very good question, and I'm pretty sure you will get Nevada. What did he call it? The Nevada
Desert Association.
I don't care because you know what? I'm walking up to that booth with the film rolling. Okay, the video will be.
You're
rolling.
gonna get the Nevada Desert Association answer, Zach. You already know. You already know.
Yeah. See, look at even Mia in the chat. Zach Talks Tech, an Android airdrop would be outstanding. So, but here's the problem. Here's why I think it'll take a while before we see something. You have so many different manufacturers and Android's an open system, blah, 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 right? That's the problem, right? If it's going to happen, it's going to have to be something that's integrated directly, kind of like how Google does, like they have Duo, for example, and they have Google Keep on there, like standard stuff that's always on Android, no matter what Android you buy. So it has to be an integration like that manufacturers have to put in and will be easy, right? So.
Yeah, just give us Droid Drop, and I think we'd all be happy.
Droid Drop. There you go. They've got a name right here, right now. You guys heard it here first.
Oh, that is nice, Andrew. That is nice. I like that.
Did you think of that yourself?
Yes.
No.
Wow. For those of y'all listening on audio only, you did not see Andrew fake when Zach said airdrop for Android. Andrew was like, "Whoa!" It's like the light bulb went off. He's like, "Please give me that."
Well, it's like for me as someone who is I had an iPhone. I still have one for like beta testing for TubeBuddy. Like I like it. I guess I'm the customized side. That's why I like on Android. But every now and then I see a feature like that, and I'm like, you got me.
Yeah. Like I like the customization stuff and the widgets and that. And I can tell you this right now, I can do 95% of everything I need to do in life with this phone. Okay. But from a creative standpoint, when it comes to doing my videos, B-roll, this and that, for example, the video today, which is talking about the fake AirPods and showing how they pair up and anything, the record screen, all that kind of stuff. From a creative side, from that side, I reach for the iPhone. But for everything else, productivity wise, like Twitter, like everything, I reach for the Android most of the time. So it's a weird marriage. So.
We always talk about this never-ending battle between iOS and Android, and I always tell people one, like we're at the point now where one is not really inherently better than the other. It basically depends on your lifestyle, your workflow. You got to go with the one that works better for you.
Yep.
If Android works better for you and what you do, then go use Android.
Yep.
If iOS works better for you and what you do, then go choose iOS.
Yeah, the whole people arguing over iOS versus Android in the comment section all the time. That's so it's so 2017. Did I really just say that?
And the other thing is, don't belittle somebody else for using something that you don't use. You got to use what works best for you. There's nothing wrong with somebody else that is using Android because you use iOS, or there's nothing wrong with somebody using iOS just because you use Android. It's not that serious.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they all do the same thing pretty much.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the S11. I'll try it out. I'll review it and everything like that. I'm probably not going to keep it. I'm looking forward to seeing what OnePlus drops. I'm looking forward to Pixel 5. God, don't suck next year. I'm looking forward to the Note 12, or is it 12? No, Note 11. Yeah. So, cowabunga.
Hey, Andrew, I'm interested to get your take on the foldable phone.
Well, which version are we talking about? Are we talking like Motorola, or are we talking Samsung?
Well, Motorola and the Samsung are pretty similar. So, what is your take on it as a whole, in general?
I think it's the first like ingenuity that I've seen out of smartphones in a while that's at least different enough to make me go, huh, I never thought of it that way. Because for me, the way I buy smartphones is I'm going to stick to this device until it doesn't work anymore, because that's just how I am. So that may not be I know from the YouTube side, a lot of people, like especially tech YouTubers, they're like constantly upgrading, but like I'm going to use this phone, like my Pixel 3, I'm going to use until I can't, or until they stop updating it, right? So for me, when I see like the folding phones, or I see the flip phones that are coming out, it gives me hope, because to see innovation like that, like it shows things we may not know we needed. And anytime we get innovation like that, we win in the end, because Apple's going to have to go, oh no, we don't have that, which means we win. Which is why when people are like iOS or Android, it's like, no, consumer. That's what we need to fight for.
And you nailed it, Andrew, because last year Pixel came out and said, hey, check out our night sight, or what the heck they call it, their night mode. And Apple's like, you know what, we can do that. Ha! And they killed it, which is one of the reasons why I love this phone this year, is because of the camera improvements. Like, it's just, as much as I love Samsung saturation and everything, I'd probably reach for the iPhone.
Now, speaking of Samsung saturation and everything, Sammy just scored a big victory a week ago, because Marquez Brownlee did a blind smartphone camera test. He pitted 16 of the top phones of 2019 against each other. Yep. And the final saw the Galaxy Note 10 Plus versus the Samsung S10e. Two Samsung phones in the finals, and obviously the Note 10 ended up winning it all. But you know, for the next calendar year, Samsung is going to boast about that high and low. We will never hit the end of it. They're going to be like, oh, Marquez called us the best smartphone camera. And we want to buy smartphone camera test in 2019.
I mean, I took some phenomenal photos this year out in Banff and Moraine Lake and everything. And to be perfectly honest, it's hard to take a bad photo out there. But I mean, I'm not surprised to see that is a winner or in the top two kind of thing. So,
yeah,
I mean, you can't go wrong. Yeah.
No. So I had to talk to some people on Twitter real quick, and I'm like, listen, y'all, it didn't win because it has the best smartphone camera. It won because it takes the most eye-pleasing photos, like Andrew was talking about. When you up that saturation, you make the photo more pleasing to the eye. A lot of times, the Samsung photos are brighter, they're more vibrant than the iPhone or the Pixel. So when you put that in a blind camera test, of course, people are going to gravitate towards the brighter, more vibrant photos. They're more pleasing to the eye.
And I put those on Twitter as well. Remember when I put the two different Moraine Lake photos, and I asked people which one do you like better? I didn't tell them what phone it was. Most people picked the Note. It was brighter. It looked a lot of people said it looked like a picture, like it looked like not a photograph, but it looked like a painting. Right. So,
I mean, and that's cool that because Marquez's audience is mostly tech people and things like that. So I mean, it's cool that all the tech people pick the Note 10 camera in the end and things like that. But if you put them side by side, what I said still holds true. The iPhone 11 Pro and Pro Max still have the best camera of 2019 to me, because when I put those photos side by side, you can see the differences if you're looking for them. If you're not looking for the differences, then you might think that the Note takes better pictures. But if you know what you're looking for and you look and you see those subtle differences, especially when you zoom in, it becomes utterly apparent how much better the iPhone pictures are than the Samsung and even the Pixel picture. But like that said, you can't go wrong with any smartphone camera in 2019. They all take great pictures. You can't go wrong with really either of them. Any of them, they're good.
I've said this all year. Like, if you've purchased a flagship or tier 2 device in the last 3 years, we're just kind of splitting hairs now. Like, really, unless you're like blowing up your photos for like a billboard or something like that. Okay, first of all, why are you using a smartphone? But I mean, right, Andrew, right? So I mean, honestly, you're gonna get great photos anyway, and it doesn't matter how great that phone is. If you don't know how to utilize certain features and everything, you're still gonna have a crappy photo.
100%.
Yeah.
All right. I see we got some of my fellow creators in the chat here, and I told y'all this is an open invitation. So I think we got Technically T, who's always opinionated, and Tech King Mike. They're both in the chat. So if either of you gentlemen have an open mic in time, let me know, and I will gladly send you all the link to join the podcast, because like I said earlier, this is the last VypDrive of 2019. it's pretty much an open invitation for other creators to come join me and talk tech tonight. So if you guys got a free mic and time, you let me know. We could talk about this on the podcast. But other than that, y'all know where to find me. But,
I hate to do this to you, Viper. I really appreciate you inviting me, but I do have somewhere to be in the next 30 minutes.
You better get there then.
Yeah. So thank you for having me on. I'm pretty sure we're doing a thing tomorrow night. So I'll talk to you for tomorrow,
All
Christmas Eve. I
Yep.
mean, otherwise, maybe one of us will throw something together tomorrow. Who knows? Merry Christmas and happy holidays, Andrew.
Happy holidays and Merry Christmas to you as well.
Yeah, Viper, happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
You too,
everybody
sir.
in the chat, everybody listening, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah as well. Have safe travels if anybody's traveling, please. Be kind to everybody, and I will talk to you guys later.
Later, dude. Take care. And there were two.
Exactly. So, Viper, I have a question for you.
What's going on, man?
If they get rid of all the ports on the next iPhone, how will that affect you?
Listen, man, I keep telling y'all that we are not ready for this. We are not ready for a portless iPhone. Now, if they get rid of the ports, it's not going to really affect me much because I can just wirelessly charge my iPhones anyway. I don't really have much use for the port because I'm not really doing too much with them. But I think that will negatively affect a lot of people and piss off a lot of people. The infrastructure, Andrew, is not in place to support a portless iPhone. But what do you think about it? What is your thoughts?
So I guess I look at phones as mostly a content creation tool first and foremost. So like I think, how am I supposed to bring in like external microphones or things like that, which I know isn't what the everyday person thinks. But from a content creation side, I'm curious to what that's going to do for companies that have worked so hard and like adapting to these new standards to like make sure you can have good mics and things. So that's something I look at for it, especially. I don't hate it in idea, but I know that for how I use it and how I use my device, it's not something I want.
Yeah, from the content creation aspect, there is no way in hell we're ready for a portless iPhone. Because then you're talking about depending on Bluetooth technology, wireless mics, and things like that, and you're dealing with latency and all that other stuff, and we're just not there yet. The wireless technology is not at a point yet where it should be the sole way that we go. We're not there yet. Will we be there in the next 5, maybe 10 years? Maybe. I mean, technology is rapidly evolving, so there's no doubt in my mind that we will get there. But today in 2019, going into 2020, are we ready? Are we there? Hell no, not even close. So this is a bad idea.
Well, Michael Pepper Tech Talk says portless could mean magnetic pin connection, which true. That's actually something I haven't thought about when it comes to that.
That definitely feasible. I know there is already a technology in place to support that. We have smart connectors on iPads and things like that. So that technology is in place, but I still worry if that's the sole technology for like charging and different things like that, then that we might run into pitfalls down the road. But there was supposed to be a portless iPhone 3 years ago with the iPhone 10, and it didn't come to fruition then. So I know Apple's been working on it for a long time, but I don't think that we're quite there, and I think it's still premature to be talking about a portless iPhone.
That's fair. And I think this will either go the route of the headphone jack or the route of air power, and we'll have to see.
I think for Apple, they better send it throughout the route of air power. We just forget about it until technology is until the wireless infrastructure is more mature to be able to go that route, because we're not even there yet. We don't even have full 5G yet. So, and you can't even consider this more or less until like at least maybe like full 5G is a thing or something like that.
Wouldn't a portless if we do portless, wasn't like the LG G5 that did like modular? Could that be a solution to it?
That's definitely possible. And LG did attempt the modular device with the G5, but that didn't really go anywhere.
True. But also it was LG.
That's true. So Andrew, my man Tony wants to know, what's your Twitter handle or YouTube?
It is at Andrew Can Film on Twitter, and YouTube it is /AndrewK.
/AndrewK. Okay, so there you go. Andrew Can Film. Look him up. He is definitely doing a thing, and yeah, he's making videos and things like all the rest of us. He's doing his thing. Whew. So besides, okay, go ahead.
No, I was just saying thank you.
No problem. So besides the GA5, I know you said you got the S10 for your girl, but what other tech that have you gotten for yourself in 2019 that you are enjoying?
I'm actually enjoying this keyboard, which is a wireless keyboard from Corsair.
Ooh.
It's something I got myself because I was using a $10 keyboard I bought in 2013 from college. I'm like, why am I still doing this? so I got a wireless keyboard because I'm kind of tired of wires on my workspace because I just don't like the look. So it's been an interesting investment to get more wireless tech, especially because coming from a wired world, like I guess the thing was when I got rid of the headphone jack on the Pixel 3, I'm like, you know what? It wasn't the biggest thing. And I know a lot of people have said that as well. But for me, going more wireless has definitely been a thing I've been trying to do.
The thing about going more wireless is that it's a lot more neater as far as desk setup to go, man. It's a hassle dealing with wires all over the place. So yeah, going wireless is definitely the way.
Exactly. And one thing is the reason I like this keyboard is the only reason I say this is I like mechanical keyboards. I need to preface this. However, I'm a content creator that likes to stream, and I hate clack, 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 clack when I'm trying to do something on a stream. So that's just a personal preference. And I've used membrane my whole life, and I've also used mechanical. So for me, it really wasn't that big of a deal.
The things that we like and don't like as content creators.
Well, it's like I have to tell people a lot of times when I watch a review, it's like people are like, this is terrible for gaming. I'm like, well, was this what it was made for? Like what you need versus what the intention for the device is something I'm not sure a lot of people will either one bring up or two remember, because we're so opinionated in what we want and what we want a device to do. We don't think, is this what it was made to do, or is this what we want it to do?
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. A lot of people are very opinionated, but their opinion doesn't go past them. So when your opinion doesn't go past you, you're going to run into a lot of problems that way.
Exactly.
Because unfortunately, the world does not revolve around you.
True, but I think that's why we like opinions, because even if you don't agree with it, you can find entertainment, you can learn something new. Like a great example was just within this was like talking about how pin connection for an iPhone that could go, without ports would be very interesting. It's something that expanded my horizon. So it's within that understanding that those different opinions can make us better.
Mm-hmm. I see LeBaron talking about, he's saying that we're basically talking about the Portless life now. Kind of, but not quite. Kind of, but not quite, man. Not quite.
Do you think we'll get to a point where we will USB-C all the things, Vype?
Assuming we don't change technology, yes. Now, do I think there will be an iPhone that supports USB Type-C? I don't think so. I think Apple enjoys the advantages they have with the Lightning port and the money that they make off the royalties and things like that. So I don't think they're trying to get rid of Lightning anytime soon. And I'm in agreement with my man John Prosser when he says that we will see a portless iPhone probably before we see a USB Type-C iPhone. So
fair.
I don't think we're going to see a USB Type-C iPhone, but if they do move away from Lightning in terms of iPhone, the next iteration will be portless. It won't be USB Type-C, which is kind of stupid to me, because the iPad has USB Type-C, the MacBooks have USB Type-C. So what the hell is the problem with putting USB Type-C on the iPhone? Why can't there ever be uniformity among Apple charging technology? It's just dumb, but whatever.
I feel a little bit of frustration.
Yeah, just a little bit. It irks me because when you're like me and you have a bunch of Apple products, you want to be able to take just one cable when you're going on trips and traveling and things like that. But the way Apple has it set up currently, you have to take at least two cables, because you got to have a USB-C cable and you got to have a Lightning cable, or you don't need no cables if you go wireless, but you can't wirelessly charge a MacBook and you can't wirelessly charge an iPad, so you got to have two cables. It's like, grr.
One thing I didn't realize going from like 2017 to now is like how much I've become USB-C dependent until I actually got this keyboard and it was micro B, and I went, oh, because I'm like, yeah, I have micro B cables, and yes, it came with one, but I'm like, yeah, wait. No. So I'm like, oh, thank God it included one. But it's like, you don't realize how you can immediately become used to something, especially because it starts slow, but then it builds up.
Yeah, especially if you buy like product after product that has that USB Type-C port, and then you're like, okay, so if I got a group of products that support this one charger technology, then all I need is one cable for when I'm doing things. But when you have different charger technology scattered throughout your equipment, it just gets annoying. But like Janota says, it has to do with money. That's why Lightning is not going anywhere, because Apple makes money off of it, and we know how Apple feels about money. They're very attached to money. So yeah.
But that's been like a principle for Apple for like forever. Like we look back at like the original iPod where you couldn't replace the battery. Like that's nothing new. So I can't fault them for that. Like if this was a newer thing for them, I'd be like, how dare they? But I'll give them this. They've stuck to their guns on it.
Oh no! Apple and wanting to make money or make the most money possible definitely is nothing new. I mean, it's the reason why they have the highest profit margins out of any tech company on planet Earth. It's the reason why they're sitting on $200 billion. That's right, $200 billion in cash. That is the reason why they're sitting on $200 billion of cash, because they know how to make that profit, and they know the decisions and things they need to do to maintain that maximum profit. That is Apple in a nutshell. But at some point, like they've begun to this year, you need to be more friendly to your consumers if you want to continue to make those billions of dollars. And we finally have seen this year where Apple is finally getting a little bit more consumer friendly. They're not quite there yet, but with the advent of the iPhone with a bigger battery and things like that, and with the MacBook Pro having a bigger battery and things that people have been looking for the past few years, a new keyboard, Apple is finally getting slightly consumer friendly, slightly.
And I think credit is where it's due. I know a lot of people want them to go a lot faster, but hey, I'll take any movement compared to none.
Yes, progress and progress, baby. No matter how fast or slow it is, progress is progress.
Absolutely.
Romina, so this is the giveaway. Romina, if only this is a giveaway.
If so, I came on the best podcast.
No doubt. If I had $200 billion to give away, wouldn't it be one hell of a podcast, right? Woo. So I don't actually, you know what? I'm about to say, I know you're not big into technology, but I remember the last time I talked to you, you actually are kind of big into technology. So what are you looking forward to technology-wise in 2020?
One thing I would like to see, and I've seen like some companies come up with ideas for this, but I actually want truly wireless. So like not something where I have to put it on a pad, but like I've seen like, for example, light fixtures that can beam down something that can wirelessly charge phones.
Yeah.
And like I would love like something like that, but I want it for more than just phone tech, because for example, camera tech with wireless charging would be awesome. Like that's something I would love to see an integration in there. Or even if like, I know it's simple to charge it now, but if I could just leave it in my camera, plop it down, go out and come back and it's been charged, like that'd be awesome. So I want more wireless charging and more facets of things I use.
I actually did a video on this a long time ago, and they actually had something like this at last year's CES with the technology, the wireless solar technology that comes down from the lights and wirelessly charging everything. So that technology has been in the works for a very long time, but it has not made it to the mainstream yet. So hopefully maybe next year, like you said, we will begin to see some of that creep into the mainstream, because that would be awesome. I don't know how close we are or how realistic that is to come to the mainstream in 2020, but to see more like whole room wireless charging technology come to the mainstream, that would be pretty cool.
Exactly. Another thing I'd like to see, like because like now we're talking from like a decade. So I think a better way to phrase it is like, we had a decade of tech. What do I want in the next decade? Because if we say next year, yeah, it's fair, but it's a whole new decade. Like it's a whole new, we have 10 years for this tech to hopefully develop.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to see more adaptation to 4K. I know people are like, we need 8K now. I'm like, we're not even at 4K yet. Like,
Yeah,
let's take this a step at the time.
I agree. People talking about 6G. Dude, can we get 5G yet? I mean, can we get 5G in the home? I mean, can we get 5G on the streets yet? So I agree. I think more adoption of 4K would definitely be legit. I mean, most cable companies aren't even 4K ready yet. So what are we talking about 8K for? Like, calm down, people.
And I think we might be in a little bit of a tech bubble because we care so much about tech. But I think it's always remembering, and this is something I learned through like working for a company like TubeBuddy, where it's like, I know so much about YouTube, but it's like remembering, oh, this might be the first time you've ever hit that upload button, right? So it's like remembering that the most part, most people aren't as into this as we are. And I think if we lose sight of that, then we lose sight of who we're trying to help with our videos.
Yeah, you make a very good point because a lot of times, even though the audience on YouTube is probably more tech savvy than most, but when we, like you said, when we're making our videos and we're trying to get across our point, we need to be targeting the average consumer because they pretty much outrank the tech nerds. The average consumer is more prevalent out there than any other group. So, like you said, when we're trying to talk to people, we need to be talking to them more than anything because they are the majority out there.
100%. I also just want more integration in like the smart home, like just like I just got a little bit more into it. Like I bought my first Wi-Fi outlet thing because like I've been slow to adapt to tech because I rent. So it's like why would I like why bother? But like things like that make it a little easier for me to get into it. Like being able to just ask like my Alexa to turn on or off a light is so nice. So
yes, and it's funny you mentioned that because Microsoft, Google, and Amazon just formed an alliance to set smart home standards because they've all been doing their individual thing up until this point, but there has really been no standard as far as smart home technology goes. But now they just made the alliance, so hopefully we will see some sort of normalcy as it relates to smart home technology, especially here in 2020. Now that alliance is a thing, so you are on the right path with that smart home technology because I think that's the next big frontier of technology that these companies have to tackle. Because I mean, you have the entire home at your disposal. And we know that all of these companies crave information. What better way to get information than be in our homes? I mean, that's our home. You got a wealth of information inside our home. So the quicker they can get technology that works in these homes, the better for them and the better for us if we are apt to use that technology.
100%. And I like how Romina's like, I don't want a smart home. I want a genius home. I want a smart home like from the 2000 Disney Channel movie where there's a hologram in my house and it's making me food before I even think about it. Like that's the kind of smart home I want.
We gotta be careful with Romina because she doesn't operate in our time. She's like from the future. She's like light years ahead of us already. So we gotta be careful.
We're in 2020. She's in 20,020.
Yeah, she's in like 2027, 2028. So we gotta watch her. No, Romina is cool people. Romina is. I keep telling Romina we got to get her on the podcast one day. The invitation is open, Romina. You let me know.
She's from 2028. How curved? Is it just a circle iPhone? Because they love their curves. Is it just a circle?
Oh my God. It the iPhone still exists in 2028. You know?
Ooh, that's a hot take.
Yeah.
That's something that I haven't even thought of. What if they ditch the naming convention?
Some people seem to think that might be a thing at some point that iPhone will no longer be called iPhone. I don't know how quickly that's gonna happen because that's a whole branded thing that Apple has built their empire off of. I don't know how easy it would be to just change that naming convention to something other than iPhone, but I think that might be something to consider because we all thought that the Apple Watch would be called iWatch, and nope, it is called the Apple Watch because they wanted to get away from the naming convention. So at some point in the future, maybe we see a phone from Apple not called iPhone. I don't know how soon that is, but that might be possible.
I wouldn't be mad if they were like the Apple phone. I'd be like, well, at least we're on to what it is.
Oh, we made her spit out her drink. Sorry, not sorry, Romina. Sorry, not sorry.
Well, then I'm glad we're bringing you value, or we're so shocking. We're just that good. So who knows? I think I did it to Viper. Oh, no.
You almost got me.
Oh, man. Don't worry. I'll get there one day. I'll just come in with a hot take that just surprises you so much. So since we were talking about smart tech a little bit, do you have a Nest?
Oh, Nest thermostat? Yes, I do actually.
So because I rent, like one thing I think, especially smart home tech, one thing I'd like them to do a little bit better is keep in fact that most of our generation and the upcoming generation is renting. And a lot of smart home tech, and this is like one of the biggest things, and this is coming from someone who does rent, is it's not renter friendly per se, because that's something I would like a little bit more. Like I have the ability to change my thermostat, but it's not in my rental agreement, right? Like if I do that, I'm out $1,000. So like I could, but I wouldn't want to. So like if they could come up with solutions for things like that, I think they'd have just that perfect blend.
You know what? You bring up a very good point because like you said, something like a thermostat is not really, like you said, it's not renter friendly because that's like a major alteration to your apartment or rental space that you might not necessarily be authorized to make. And as it stands right now, a lot of the smart home tech isn't really renter friendly. I mean, there are a few things that are renter friendly, but most stuff probably isn't renter friendly. So, like you said, it would be nice if they kind of consider the people that are renting more when they come up with the technology. But I guess we will see what happens in 2020.
I mean, I'm there in Silicon Valley, which is one of the most like rented places in the world. So you would think, right? But
You would think, but sometimes people operate inside of their own bubble, and you don't know, man. We don't know.
Greg's Gadgets brings up a good point. I was supposed to afford a smart home, but I can't afford rent. I feel that here in LA. I feel that.
You know what, Greg? I will put you on blast. I would put you on blast, but I'm gonna leave you alone because Greg just made an interesting purchase, but I won't put him on blast tonight. I'm gonna leave him alone tonight. He knows what I'm talking about. He knows what I'm talking about. But I'm gonna leave Greg alone tonight because he knows where I'm going, and I'm not gonna go there tonight. I'm gonna leave Greg alone because Greg is cool people, but Greg is crazy.
That's the holiday spirit right there.
Oh man, he knows what I'm talking about too. Whoo! So, are you, Andrew? Are you looking forward to purchasing any? Or actually, are you looking forward to any tech that you are looking to purchase for yourself here in 2020?
In 2020, one thing I've been like looking more into is mostly just tech that makes my life easier. So like getting more smart home tech, that's good. Just things like that. I've been looking at upgrading my phone probably earlier than expected, only because the Pixel 3 has a lot of quirks, is the nicest way to say it. Like it had a lot of things I like, but I'm considering upgrading again just because, like I said earlier, I do like to last that 4 years. I'm just not too sure my phone's going to make it.
Yeah, I would, yeah, I know people are keeping their smartphones longer, but I mean, with the way tech is evolving, I mean, I can't really fault somebody that wants to upgrade every year or every 2 years. So I would say if you want to upgrade your smartphone, I mean, you got a lot of good options out there to do that. So that's definitely something that you could consider.
Well, what about you as well, Viper? I mean, like you are the man about tech after all. So like what is interesting you? Let's look at what would you like to see in this next decade?
Whoo, wow, you said next decade. So that's
Well,
like
I mean,
the
it's
whole
coming.
10 years. That's like the whole 10 years, man. You know
Well,
what?
let's give the listeners something to like you might be right. Let's say like it comes out like they can make a circular iPhone in 2027. We called it.
Oh man. I don't know, like, but what I am looking forward to, I don't know if we're gonna come next year or in a few years, but Apple is rumored to be working on AR glasses. Now,
Ooh.
I find this very interesting because if they hit it and do it right, you could be looking at the beginning of the end of the iPhone. Because if they could nail the technology and those AR glasses, and we can get as much use out of them as we can out of our iPhones, then there's no need for iPhones, because between the AR glasses and your Apple Watch, you won't need an iPhone anymore. Like you could just slowly phase the iPhone out. So I am very intrigued to see what Apple brings to the table with the AR glasses. There's already smart glasses out there. They're not that advanced, but I know Focus by North have their glasses out, and those are very intriguing, especially for that first generation type of technology where you have like the smart HUD display in those glasses. You can get weather, you can get emails, you can do different things with those Focus by North, but those are not nearly fully featured as what Apple can bring with AR glasses. So I am very, very curious to see what Apple does when they bring AR glasses out.
And I think AR, especially like in this upcoming decade, could definitely see huge advances. Like we're already seeing it sort of like Amazon, for example, you can put like furniture in your home before you purchase. Like that's incredible. Like there's stuff like on just to see it more, even than like Tesla introducing it a little bit more, like showing us like a map. Like I know some vehicles have like a heads up, like they have their own HUD display that kind of like shows things, but like they can just make that better and better. Like I think AR is definitely one of those things that could really do it.
Definitely. And I've been telling people for the last year or so that AR is the future, because AR does not take us out of our current world. AR is kind of a complementary piece to the world that we are already in. The reason why I've been telling people for the longest that VR is not the future is because VR is not mobile. VR takes you out of the world. You pretty much have to be stationary while you're experiencing VR. You can't really move around. AR allows you to move around. It doesn't take you out of the world, and AR naturally integrates into the world around you, which is why I keep saying that AR is the future. There's going to be so much happening with AR in the next 10 years. It is going to be absolutely astounding how far AR goes from now until 2030.
Then, question for you, Viper: do you think Google Glass was maybe just too ahead of its time, or just didn't have the tech to back it up?
Both. It was ahead of its time, and the tech was not there to back it up. But if Google were to revisit Google Glass, maybe this year or in the next few years, then I think there could be something there. But like you said, I think it was just a tad bit ahead of its time.
I like how the Bionic Scoop says, actually, reality is too much for some.
Oh, let's not go there. Let's not go there. But yeah.
Do you think that YouTube could, when you think of AR, do you think it mostly like through a camera, or do you think, because some people would say that holograms are a version of AR. So I guess my question would be, would you classify that tech as AR, or would you just say that it is something completely new?
No. So when we talk about AR, which is augmented reality, we are talking about technology that naturally integrates with the world around you. So a hologram to me would be AR, because the hologram appears in your real world. It's just added layer on top of the world that already exists. And because it's an added layer on top of the world that already exists, to me, that is AR. That is augmented reality. So anything that adds to the world as it already exists, to me, that is a part of AR. And that is going to be a big point of technology in the next 10 years moving forward. Because as I just said earlier on the podcast, AR naturally integrates with the world around you. It does not take you out of that world like VR does. AR is more mobile than VR as well. So because it doesn't take you out of the world, because it naturally integrates into the world around you, and because it's mobile, AR is the future. Mobile is it. If your technology is not mobile focused, you are already operating at a handicap. So anything that's coming in the next 10 years, it better be mobile centric and mobile focused.
Exactly. And one thing, like, especially from the AR side, I loved, and I actually used this for the first time when I was in Australia, is like, I accidentally walked into the Chinatown there, and I'm like, uh-oh. And I already don't know Australia at all. So I pulled up my Pixel and I used Google Lens, and I'm like, this is a form of AR, but imagine if it was like real, like, I know they're working on it, but like, the fact that I could scan up my phone, translate signs in close to real time is pretty cool. But if they could just advance that even more, especially like you said, with an Apple Lens, like that, to me, one, it breaks down barriers, it just connects us closer, and it does what I think fundamentally tech is supposed to do. And it is supposed to enrich our lives and make it easier for us to connect and communicate with one another.
Exactly. I think that has to be the goal of technology. The goal of technology should be to bring people together. So whatever you have to do, however you go about accomplishing that, the goal has to be to bring people together. And if the technology can do that, it is already on its way to becoming dominant in its space, because if you could bring people together, you are creating a myriad of possibilities for yourself and your technology.
Agreed.
Bringing people together, that is the golden ticket to technology. Bring people together and watch mountains move.
And you can do that in AR now.
Right, yep. Right? Is that right? Yep.
And like AR tech, I'm glad you brought that up, because yeah, I'd like to see Google have a second crack. I'd like to see Apple try it first. I just think that those two companies, especially if they really want to, they really could. Or maybe it'll take Amazon, someone they don't expect, to be like, hey, we're working on this, to wake them up. Because I know a lot of times, especially some of these companies, they get so complacent. Like, I know when, for example, when Amazon bought Twitch, YouTube's like, uh-oh. So they started giving us more features. So I think anytime something shakes up the tech world, we win.
Absolutely. Anything that it's all about competition, right? So as long as you get companies to compete against each other, that will always be a win for the consumer, because it gives the consumer more options. So competition is definitely encouraged, especially in the tech space, because like I said, that creates more options for consumers. So as I was talking about AR earlier, and I said that AR is the future and VR is really not the future, that doesn't mean that VR won't have its place, because I feel like VR will always have its place, especially when you talk about simulation and things like that for training and teaching purposes. VR has its place. Like people in the military, they use VR all the time to simulate like fighter jet flights and things like that, or special scenarios in military, or a doctor training to do surgeries in VR and things like that. So VR definitely has a place even moving into the future. I just feel like AR has a bigger part to play in the future because it's more versatile than VR. But by no means does that mean that VR does not have a place in the future, because it absolutely does.
Maybe VR is the 8K to AR's 4K when it comes to like conversion jumping. Because I think maybe that's something people may not think. Because like the reason I say that is because 4K is slowly getting adapted and 8K is kind of here, but it's like that's going to take way longer. So I think if we can get people to even accept the idea that they can change their reality, maybe they'll go into a completely different one.
Maybe. I don't know, but like I still think that AR is definitely the way forward, especially when you combine it with artificial intelligence. Oh my God. Then it gets to that situation you were talking about earlier with the hologram. That is the perfect combination of AR and AI. Like that is what is happening. Like that's where technology is going. The intersection of augmented reality and artificial intelligence is going to bring some crazy, crazy possibilities moving forward.
Agreed. However, Viper, I do have to get going. It has been amazing to join you on your last podcast for the year. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and Happy Hanukkah to everyone out there, including yourself, Viper, who celebrates. Thank you so much again for letting me hop on. And it's always great to talk. I said this on Twitter DMs. I need to get better at communicating with you. So thank you for having me.
Hey, Andrew, thank you for joining me, and happy holidays to you, man. Take care. Yo, Mr. 504, thank you with the right on point 504 super chat. What's up, dude? Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Romina, she wants to change her reality. Romina, you crack me up. I don't know if you heard me earlier, Romina, but if you have some free time tonight, or if you have some free time in the future, let me know, Romina, and I would love to have you on the podcast, because we definitely need to get together and do that. But yeah, it's like I said, it's crazy that we've gotten so far with this podcast. 52 episodes. I think I put out the first one on January 21st, so it's practically been 12 months, because what's today, the 23rd? So it's been literally 12 months since I started the podcast. 52 episodes later. I usually put out one a week, so we're pretty much on schedule with the podcast. So I figured this would be an excellent last podcast of the year to try to kind of wrap things up. And I'm gonna go on a little podcast hiatus, probably maybe a week or two, and then I'll come back in 2020 with more of VypDrive. But yeah, I just wanted to hang out with you guys tonight on this final VypDrive of 2019. Isn't it crazy though how fast the year has flown by? I mean, damn, dude, this year has like flown by. Whoo, Lord, man. Oh my goodness. Andrew with another super chat. Thank you, Mr. Andrew. I appreciate you. Dude. Thank you for supporting, man. And thank you again for joining me on the podcast tonight. So I got Jonathan in the chat, and he wants to know if this is my last stream of the year. No, this is not my last stream of the year. This is just the last VypDrive, the last podcast of the year. Friday Night Vype is happening this Friday night, and that will be my last Friday Night Vype of 2019. I don't know if that will be my last stream, but the VypDrive or the Friday Night Vype finale is coming on Friday night, so I will be live again this week. But this podcast, this will be the last podcast of 2019. It will go on a brief hiatus, and it will return like James Bond. The podcast will return in 2020. And yes, 504, it is crazy that the decade has flown by. It feels like just yesterday that we were in 2010, and now we are about to be in 2020 in a week. It is absolute bananas. But shout out to everybody listening on audio only. Shout out to all 25 of you watching in the YouTube live stream right now. Good evening. Hello. How are you doing? Welcome to the last VypDrive podcast of 2019. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. If you guys in the YouTube live stream have any questions or anything you want to talk about, let me know and we can talk about it. I'm gonna hang out for a little bit longer before we call it a night. I've been here about an hour and a half almost, so I'll try to extend into the 2-hour mark. Like I said, it's going to be a little bit longer than your typical podcast, but it's Monday. It's 2 days before Christmas. So I guess I can ask you all that are watching in the YouTube live stream, did you all get your Christmas shopping done? Did you do that? I did my thing. I did most of my shopping today because I got my payout today. So I did a little shopping today and I am done. Like, it was pretty simplistic, pretty easy for me. the mall around me is pretty dead. So I was able to walk in there with easy parking, walk into the store I wanted to walk into, get what I wanted, and got out of there pretty quickly. Because when you got a dying mall out there, I mean, you don't really have much competition, which is kind of sad in a way because at Christmas time most of these malls are uber packed, but the mall I went to today was not that packed. So I don't know. But yeah, your boy Viper got his Christmas shopping done. Wasn't much, but I got it done. So we're done with that. Romita a fool. Romita says she doesn't buy Christmas gift. She opens them. Romita's a savage. Michael Pepper Tech Talk wants to hop on. Michael, if you have time tonight, I will gladly let you on. I don't think I've ever talked to you on stream before, Michael. So if you do have time tonight, I will gladly have you on. I will send you a Twitter DM, and as soon as I can find out what your Twitter handle is, let me see if I can find you. Is that gonna work? Nope. I see. Let me see if I can find Michael without having to ask him. I don't think it's gonna work. Oh, I can't message you. What is that? Okay, I'm not following you on Twitter. So let me fix that because apparently I can't DM Michael Pepper. That's not a good look. So what I'm gonna do is go to my Twitter so you can follow Michael Pepper, so we can talk to Michael Pepper so I can get him a link. Because Twitter is very, very specific on who you can DM on Twitter. If you're not following that person or they're not following you, Twitter's like, y'all can't talk. Even though Twitter's supposed to be a open forum for communication, not so much. Michael, I'm gonna need you to follow me on Twitter so I can DM you the link, because otherwise we're not gonna be able to make this happen. So I need you to follow me, buddy. Shout out to Josh Hargrip for the $5 super chat. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate you, dude. You are the man. I appreciate you always tuning in week after week. I am not the biggest YouTube creator, so I can pretty much remember who joins me on a regular basis. So I think a lot of you all out there tonight that join me on a week in, week out basis. So thank you to all of you all. Mia Diva, one of the people that join me on a regular basis. Thank you, Mia. I hope you have a Merry Christmas as well. Hope you have a great new year, and you know where to find me. As I tell you all the time, you know where to find me. You know where to find me. Oh, man. So what else happened this YouTube year? We talked about the later case earlier with Zach, which I told you all I have a later case, so that was pretty cool. And there we go. Now I can DM Michael Pepper. All right. So we're gonna get Michael Pepper in here in a minute, because Michael Pepper had never been on a live stream with me. He's never been on a podcast. So we're gonna get Michael in here real quick, and we're gonna talk to Michael Pepper today. And there he is. Next. And now we can hit him with the link. All right, Mr. Michael Pepper, the link has been sent to your Twitter DMs. You know what to do. You are not new at this. Even though Michael Pepper has never joined me, he has been on live streams. He live streams on his YouTube channel, so you know what the procedures are. Oh, man. Janosis is out here asking the hard questions. So for those of y'all that are listening on audio only, I recently made a significant purchase. I purchased the 1989 Lego Batmobile. It is the 80th anniversary of Batman, which is crazy when you think about it. So Batman's been around for 80 years. Lego came out with a special anniversary edition Batmobile. This thing is 3,000 pieces, and it has about 24 bags in it. I've had it for about, I had it since Black Friday, so about a month now almost. But as a creator, I don't really have a lot of time to work on it because it's 3,000 pieces and 24 bags. So I just finished bag 13. So I am now on bag 14. I have most of the car built. Basically, I just got to build most of the exterior and things like that. But most of the interior and the framework has been built. Basically, we're just working on the exterior of the car now. But I have 13 bags or 13 bags done, which means I think I have about 10 more bags to do. So hopefully I can get it done before the end of the year. I don't know. But I do have the next week off from work, so I should be able to get it done within the next week. So I'm looking forward to that. But man, Yes, your boy Viper brought the Batmobile, and I love it. It's amazing. We got the Artist Haven. Hello, how you doing? Good evening to you, Mr. Artist. How are you? How are you? Let's see. So, Piscian says at the end of the decade, Samsung has pulled out all the stop foldable ceramic Galaxy repairable buds. S9s, S10s, Note 10, Samsung One UI 2. Yeah, Samsung has definitely gotten work done this decade. Samsung has been doing their thing, man. They're also the ones that brought the first foldable phone to market. Well, the first foldable phone that anybody cares about to market, because nobody really cares about the Flex Pi Royale, whatever the hell you want to call it. But let's bring in Michael Pepper Tech Talk for the first time to the podcast. What's up, Michael?
How's it going?
Going good, man. Welcome to the VypDrive podcast. First time guest, man. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me on. So I'm at my unusual. Normally I'd be up by my computer, but my wife's asleep right now, so I'm coming from my iPhone in the living room. So,
well, I appreciate you, man. We definitely can't disturb the wife. That's not a good look. We can't do that.
Nope, or the sun. So
as I've been asking everybody on the podcast tonight, Michael, what is your biggest accomplishment or takeaway from 2019?
starting my channel.
Well done, by the way. Absolutely.
I just broke the 160 mark. I'm up to 161 subscribers. I'm just past 18,000 views, which isn't much, but considering it's only been like 6 months that I've really been doing this, I'm happy.
Yeah, man. 6 months in and having 150 subscribers and things like that, you are definitely on your way, man. So shout out to you and congratulations for starting your YouTube channel. If I have any mods in the chat, if you guys can put his channel up for people to go check out, I would greatly appreciate you all. So thank you for that. So what is the best piece of technology or your favorite piece of tech that you purchased this year?
That's that gets tricky because I have a couple answers. So for one, my new microphone and audio interface.
Okay, what type of microphone did you get?
I got the AKG P120.
Oh, okay.
And then I got the Scarlett Solo 3rd gen.
I got that one too. Nice.
So I can upgrade down the line. So
yeah, the Scarlett interface is definitely legit. I like my work very well, so definitely cool.
And separate from that, I would have to say my iPhone 11 Pro Max.
Ooh, the smartphone of the year right there. That's what I'm talking about, Mike. That's what I'm talking about. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Now, have you had any other smartphones this year besides the 11 Pro Max?
Oh, have I? I had the LG G8.
Oh,
the Note 10 Plus.
Okay.
I've had a few other, like I had like the Bold N1, and I've tried some more budget-friendly devices, but I've sold them. I had a OnePlus 6T that I bought back like a month before the OnePlus 7 came out. So that was in March.
Okay, so am I to understand that you no longer have the Note 10 Plus?
I do have it.
You do have it, okay. So what do you think about the Note 10 Plus in relation to the iPhone 11 Pro Max?
So the major things that have kept me going with the iPhone this year have been battery life and cameras. So
okay.
As far as that goes, I mean, I'm getting like 16 to 18 hours of screen on time on my iPhone. And huge, standby time is significant.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the iPhone has amazing battery life. Absolutely. Like, it's absolutely absurd that Apple had come out with a smart battery case for the iPhone 11 Pro and Pro Max, given that the battery life is so good on these phones, but they have done that.
The worst I'll get with battery is streaming. So, like, if I stream for like 2.5 hours, like on here, I'll get down to about 50% battery.
Okay, that makes sense. But even still, that's still pretty good for streaming.
But I've done that before and then had my phone off the charger the whole entire next day and still ended up with like 25% charge at the end.
Boom. So if you guys want to check out Michael Pepper's channel in the for those of y'all watching on YouTube right now, As you notice, just pasted the link in the chat. So there is the link if you guys want to go check out the channel.
That might not be right because it should be. I have a custom link, so it would just be youtube.com/Michael Pepper Tech
Okay.
Talk.
You know what? Let me
It should be.
let me click on the link and see if it's the right link. Let's see. Yep, it definitely takes us to your channel. So yeah, it's the right link.
That's weird. So
Yeah.
it must be there's multiple links.
I don't know, but that is definitely the correct link to your channel. So
Well,
thank you, Janothan. I appreciate you.
either way, much appreciated. I don't know. He's going to be spot on. He's on everything.
Janothan's a legit dude. For those of y'all listening on audio only, I will have Michael Pepper's linked in the show notes for you to check out his channel. So make sure you do that. So as far as 2019 in tech, what would you say is like the most significant thing that happened in the tech world, in your opinion, in 2019?
Most significant thing, I would say the iPhone's cameras surpassing the Pixels.
Yes, sir. Now, a lot of these Pixel fanboys think I'm wrong, but Michael is backing me up here. He's telling y'all that the iPhone cameras are better. Now, why do you say that? Because I know why I say it, but why do you think that?
Well, I've seen a lot of the comparisons, and like if you look at the night photos, yeah, the Pixel was up there, but if you look at like the night sky, like the blue shades versus the true blacks and the grain and stuff like that is significantly higher and off on the Pixel versus like the iPhone images.
Now, like I said earlier, a lot of these details you don't notice if you don't zoom in, but once you start zooming into these pictures, you notice how the detail on the Pixel picture fall off very quickly, especially against the iPhone, which tends to maintain their detail more when you zoom in as opposed to the Pixel phone. So iPhone has definitely caught up and in some ways surpassed the Pixel camera definitely this year, especially if you compare them side by side. It is evident. It is very evident.
And extremely significant is, and as you can tell from this video, is I'm coming in crispy, and this is from my phone.
As you are.
4K on all cameras. This is the front-facing camera, so
and you're looking pretty good on that front-facing camera. That's the other thing that the iPhone has that the Pixel does not have. Like Michael just alluded to, all the cameras on the iPhone are capable of 4K. Can't say that for the Pixel, so yeah, you don't know about that. But we've always known that the iPhones do video better than the Pixel, so that's not a big shocker. But the Pixel has some definite disadvantages in the camera department compared to iPhone this year, and you can tell when you take a deep look into it.
And for any of the kind of people that wonder why that is, I've actually found out that part of the reasoning behind the capabilities with 4K 60 is that Google, with their Pixels, they actually have all the cameras running simultaneously. So when you switch between lenses, and the Snapdragon 855 can't stream that many pixels consistently.
Oh boy.
So it's actually a processor thing. It's also why even like with the Note, because it has the same processor, even though it has way more RAM and they have more storage, it's the same thing. You have to be on 4K 30 to be able to switch.
That is kind of nutty. Especially given the fact that like you said, the Pixels have the same Snapdragon, but their cameras are a little bit more capable than the Google phones are, so they're kind of weird, but hey, what can you do?
For me, what was also really significant is processing speeds, like export speeds. So when I shoot a video on my phone and I go to export, it's significantly faster with my iPhone than it is with my Note.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, the A13 is a beast.
I got to hop on with two phones the other night. On his stream, we got talking about this a little bit, and I'm trying to think of who it was. They did a comparison between the Note 10 Plus and the iPhone 11 Pro Max. They had a 4K video that they exported using the same app, same file, and everything. And the iPhone one was like 5 minutes and 43 seconds. The Note was almost 13 minutes.
Oh my God, that is
Like
crazy.
if you do the math, I said, so some people will they'll do a video every single day of the month. So if you did 30 videos in a month, in the time that you would save in exports, you could have actually exported 20 more of those videos.
Oh my Lord. Now we know a guy that's done a video every day in a month. Myself. But yeah, we know how that grind goes, and that is crazy to think about the time that you would save if you use an iPhone over and over as far as exporting videos and things like that. But Michael, what I want to talk to you about now is a very unique experience that me and you both had this year, Michael. We've had this unique experience, and I'm interested to get your take on this unique experience that we have both shared. We, Michael Pepper, have both been a part and been involved in the Saturday Night Tech Fight. Now, for those of y'all that listen to the podcast, you might be familiar with what I'm talking about, but just in case you're not, so my man Tech King Mike does these things he calls Saturday Night Tech Fight. So basically, what happens is that you get two people in the realm of tech, and you have them debate over different topics in tech. You have judges, and the judges round up, and they score points, and they make a decision on who argues the better side of the debate, things like that. And they tally up the points at the end of the fight, and they declare a winner and things like that. I have been involved in a tech fight. Michael Pepper has been involved in a tech fight. So I'm interested to hear your perspective, Michael Pepper. How did you feel on your fight night? Like, what did you think about being involved in a Saturday night tech fight?
Well, significant to my experience, it was very short.
Oh, man. Shot fired on a podcast. Shot fired. Damn. Damn.
I was like, I just wanted to keep going. Like, because then LB and who was it? LV and Travis came on. Or no, yeah, it was Tech Rant. Yeah, came on after. That's right. So.
Oh man, yo! For those y'all listening on audio only, Michael Pepper just alluded to the fact that his tech fight was short. Basically, said that his opponent couldn't cut the mustard. His opponent did not come prepared, so he practically mollywopped his opponent in the tech fight. Now, I'm not gonna name no name about who his opponent was. If you guys saw the tech fight, you know who we talking about. But Michael Pepper basically saying that his opponent wasn't ready for him, so that fight was pretty short. I remember that, and it was pretty short.
The first round was more like, I haven't done this before. This was only like the third time I'd been on video, like, and you're warming up, and then after that first round, I was like, oh, I gotta step this up, and then it was just like fact, and nobody could.
Yeah, I remember that.
Nobody could debate it.
I remember that you were like spitting out numbers like you were a computer that night. I was like, damn, son. You were just spitting them out like you were Watson on Jeopardy or something like that. It was crazy out there. But yeah, you did, like you alluded to, it was kind of short because your opponent was not ready for you at all. He wasn't ready.
Well, I'm a numbers person, so
clearly
there's been a huge debate going on between me and a couple of other people on Twitter, and like people making comments about iPhone and battery and being like, prove it. And it's like, I post photos and then they come back and say, all these people are having problems with their iPhone 11 battery. I'm like, where are their photos, man? Where's the proof? The proof is in the pudding.
Now, Michael Pepper was involved in one tech fight, and I was involved in one tech fight. I have since retired from the tech fight game, but Michael Pepper, will you be returning to the tech fight ring in 2020?
I will not, and you probably know why, but
I don't know why. Why aren't you not returning? I thought you were coming back.
There has been a disagreement between Mike and I, and I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, all right.
We had a little tuffle offline and disagreed, and I've moved on, and I have no harsh things to say against him. I respect him wholeheartedly. I come back and watch him, but people are allowed to disagree, and I'll just leave it at that. I don't have any hard things against him or anybody else, and I've moved on. So
okay, this is new to me. Wow.
So,
okay.
Yep. It was a growth experience on my part, and I apologize since then, and I just move on. It happens. We all have. I mean, I know lots of people that have had some interesting experiences in the past year. So
Yeah, the past year has definitely been interesting to watch and be a part of in the tech space as a whole. So I can definitely understand your viewpoint from there. But I was not aware of any disagreement between you and Mike. But yeah, I'm glad. Hopefully you guys were able to iron it off like amicable gentlemen, and you can move on and go do your thing. So that's okay. All right then.
so.
Okay. All right.
Yep,
No,
it just kind of ended up where basically he sent a message to me and blocked me, and so it's what it is, and
okay, but that doesn't sound too
so
amicable to me. So I don't know.
I'll just leave it at that.
All right.
Like I said, I'm not putting anybody out. I respect him and his channel and every decision he wants to make, and I'm here if he wants to reach out, and
I'm not getting involved in that.
so
So I
I'll
mean,
just
Mike.
leave it at that. That's why when you started discussing it, I'm like, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna.
Yeah, I'm not getting involved in that. So Mike, listen to the podcast. If he's still listening, he can take the appropriate action that he wants to take. But I'm gonna leave that alone. Okay, all right, cool. Okay, no problem. Yeah, but I mean, you were involved in the one fight. It was short, and that's that. And you won, and that was all that. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So
I actually think
Michael,
what I would like to experience that you've experienced down there that I haven't is judging. That would be fun.
you be careful what you ask for, bro. Be careful what you ask for, because you know how that thing goes. And like in the Dark Knight, you can either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain. Be careful with that.
That's true.
I'm just saying. So, Michael, I was talking about earlier about stuff that I'm looking forward to seeing in tech wise in 2020. What are you looking forward to seeing technology wise in 2020 and beyond?
I'm actually looking forward to seeing, and this is gonna be because a lot of people have shot this idea down and thought, oh, it's just kind of like a niche idea, is foldable devices at a price point that makes sense.
Okay.
So advancement in that technology, I don't know that that's going to happen in 2020. Like we might see that by 2025.
Well, I
But
know.
like the concepts, like Microsoft has the phones that they or the devices that they announced that are due for the end of the year to see what it actually looks like, because so far it's just kind of a prototype device. It's not a full on, so it could look completely different than what they showed off.
Right. And technically, Microsoft Duo is not really a folding device. It has a hinge and it has like two screens. So it's not really a foldable per se. But yeah, but I think I know we just received news either today or yesterday that Motorola is delaying their foldable razor. So it won't be out in January next year. I guess they're going to delay it a few months or so, or delay it a month or two. I don't know. But they're delaying that. So it's not going to come out when we thought it was going to come out. So we'll have to see what happened with that.
Yeah, they apparently they sold so well that they are delaying it until they can.
Here's the thing. See, John Prosser mentioned this on Front Page Tech earlier today. They haven't sold anything because there have been no pre-orders for the Fold. So how could they know what the demand is if there have been no pre-order for the device? So that's kind of weird. I don't know where they got that information and kind of sketchy. I don't understand it, but theoretically they haven't sold anything because there's been no pre-order for the Motorola Razr at all. So I don't know what they're doing with that.
So that's what they said. Here's my theory.
What's your theory?
My theory is, with all the criticism over the internal components, they're delaying it to bring better specs.
That's interesting.
Because there's been newer components that have been released since. Because if you think about, like, one of the things that was brought up was the reason they went with the processor that they went with and the cameras and stuff is because that's what was developed when they were conceptualizing that product.
The issue with that is that the average consumer doesn't care about the internal. So I don't know how much sense that would make to delay a device over internal when the average consumer could care a monkey crap about the internal. But hey, what can I say?
I mean, that's what I would like to see, because Motorola has been one of those companies that we're starting to see step forward. The new, and ZTE too. like the ZTE has already announced the Snapdragon 865 device set to be released early part of next year, early to mid part of next year.
Yeah.
And Motorola has their like the Zoom, the Hyper, the Action.
Yep.
And what really intrigued me was the being able to shoot the landscape videos while holding the phone in portrait.
Yep.
I don't know if you saw that. Jay Williams did a video on that where you could hold your phone more steadily or like in one hand in the normal mode, but when it comes out, it will be in what typically you'd want to shoot video in.
Okay.
And that's an easy thing to do though, because that's just software.
Yeah. Like I said, we don't really know why they delayed the Razor, but I mean, obviously they felt like it wasn't ready, so hopefully they do something to improve it. We don't know what the changes will be. We don't know, but we'll find out soon enough. So I just got a tweet notification that Marquez Brownlee, the aforementioned MKBHD, is currently uploading his Smartphone of the Year award. Now I'm kind of mad because he's doing it now and he's uploading it, and the video is 12 gigabytes. So I'm guessing that video is going to drop at some point tonight. I don't know when. I kind of want to do a live reaction to the video, so I'm gonna, I don't know, either tonight or tomorrow, I'm gonna come back with a live stream reacting to all his awards. Last year he named the OnePlus 6T Smartphone of the Year, and I was just like, bro, hold on. No, like, hold on, man. I had a little fun with him on the podcast earlier this year. We were talking about that, but I think I'm going to do a live stream reacting to Marquez's Smartphone Awards either tonight or tomorrow, whenever he uploads that video and it goes live. But other than that, I think we're going to wrap up the podcast here. I think we're good. Shout out to my man Andrew Can. Shout out to Zach Talk Tech, and shout out to my man Michael Pepper Tech Talk here for joining me on the last podcast of 2019. Once again, thank you to Vype Nation, to all you all in the YouTube audience for listening. Thank you all on audio only for listening to me and rocking out with me every week this year. I appreciate you guys. Like I said earlier, the podcast is going to take a brief hiatus, but we will be back in 2020. If you guys want to keep up with my live streams on a regular basis, make sure you subscribe to my Vype Live YouTube channel. The link will be in the show notes if you're listening on audio only. If you're on YouTube, you're already here. But yeah, I am probably going to come back at some point, either tonight or tomorrow, with a live stream reacting to Marquez's Smartphone Awards. So be on the lookout for that. But thank you all again for joining me tonight. Thank you to my man Michael Pepper and all my guests. And thank you to all the guests that I outlined and highlighted earlier in the podcast. Thank you, guys, for making 2019 a memorable one for this particular podcast. And I look forward to seeing what happens in 2020, which is a week away, which is crazy to say. But that will be it. And I am signing off for the last time in 2019 on VypDrive. So until 2020, people, this your boy Viper, the man about tech. You know where to find me. So come back for more.